I'd like to call the August 6th meeting to order. Nadia, can you please conduct a roll call for us?
Tom West.
Here.
Pat Darcy.
Here.
Brendan Mason.
Here.
Aaron Basie.
Here.
Marshall Ballard.
Here.
Ann Schell.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we start the meeting, I'd just like to address our audience that we are practicing social distancing and we're all wearing face masks as suggested by our health department. Thank you. Now on to first business. The new business, we start with the P&J of New Bern, Thomas Engineering, are requesting final subdivision plan approval for Craeberne Forest Phase 2, Section 7, a proposed 14-lot planned unit development PUD. This section of the multi-phase development is located on a combined 3.06 approximate acres in the R10 residential district. The site is located to the west of Trent Creek Rd and to the north of Highway 17 bridge. And it's located in Ward 6. Staff, Development Board staff, do you have an introduction for us on this development?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you already stated, the stats of the property, to show a picture of where it's at. It's in this top corner over here in the Craeberne Forest subdivision. 14 lots will wrap around this general vicinity. There's a site plan that was provided you in the packet. The average lot size is about 8,000 square feet average lot size. You have a 20-foot front setback. You have 5-foot side setbacks, 15-foot rear setbacks in the subdivision. We have reviewed it. It meets all the rules of 1579 of the ordinance. Staff has received a bond that Public Works has reviewed and approves of for the remaining sidewalks that need to be installed in this project. So at this point, staff recommends approval of the final plat.
Is there any discussion, any questions that the member of this board has for the planning department? Having heard none, I understand that a representative from the applicant is here. Does he wish to address the board?
Not unless you have any questions.
Thank you. Do any members of this board have any questions for the applicant representative? Having heard.
I have a question.
Please.
Where is this located in Craeberne? Because I live out that way. Is this on the other side where B.E. Quinn school is?
Mark.
Right there. Alright, so here's 17.
Yes. So we're at the end of the main road.
Right here, take the left, turn on up. Pat's house is back there.
Yes, when you
It
turn off.
is in nowhere deal.
Where the mobile homes are?
Oh no, there's no mobile.
Turn left.
Okay.
You pass the mobile homes on the right and you go.
Right.
The main street going to it.
Oh, is this Savoy? Is this Savoy?
Yeah.
That's correct.
But anyway, when you got to the end, it was there to your circle. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
there's a gate over here. Right there is a gate.
Mhm.
Right?
You can't go any further.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's back the way Joseph Hayden them live, right?
Sort of, kind of, yes.
Yeah, but those, yeah, okay.
Can I ask one thing? Not about the approval or disapproval of the plan. Is there any new information about the 43 connector? Is that on hold, you know?
Yes.
Going up through there? Is it on hold? That's what I read, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's my own question.
I thought about that too.
Any further questions or discussions on this item on the agenda? For technical reasons, I'm going to ask any members of the public that are for the application, please address the board. Having seen none, likewise, if there are any members of the public that would like to give their concern against this application, please address the board. Having seen none, I'd like to return to the board. Is there any further discussion? At this point, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the application, to approve the application as so presented. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the final subdivision plan for Craeberne Forest Phase 2, Section 7.
I have a motion, I hear it seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Now we are going to the consideration of the request from the Redevelopment Commission of the City of New Bern to recommend adoption of Article 24B, Section 15-487, the Greater New Bern Redevelopment Overlay District to the City of New Bern Board of Aldermen. This is given to us, as my understanding, as to make a recommendation to the board to adopt this overlay. So we are asked to either support the overlay district and make a recommendation for the Board of Aldermen to approve, or to make a recommendation not to approve this overlay. Director of Planning Department and Development Services, do you have any background to give us on this recommendation?
Well, you all have been very familiar with the process. This plan, the Redevelopment Commission boundary came to this board almost 2 years ago to begin the planning effort. Since then, the Redevelopment Commission has put together a pretty robust plan for the revitalization of the greater Duffield area. Part of the recommendation in order to implement the changes that are the policy changes in the plan is to create an overlay district for the redevelopment area in order to implement those. So those physical changes to the zoning code are presented to you here tonight. A little background, that is the redevelopment boundary area. It's almost 1,900 parcels, 574 acres of land. As you can see, almost 900 parcels of the 1,899 are vacant.
Excuse me, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
I would like to make sure, is this a package you had sent us a few weeks ago, and we had a whole bunch of them in a group? It was several of them that we had to read over.
It's like one page, it's not a lot of,
Yeah, it was
No,
just
but
on the
it was-
memo. It was on the memo.
yeah,
Okay.
the changes aren't very,
There was just some simple little,
yes,
Yeah,
bullet points.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
go over them here.
yeah. the-
Oh, okay.
Yep, I'll go over them.
But that is it, okay.
That is it, yeah, that's the area. It's large. The zoning changes are relatively small in number. So that's a little background there.
That's just like picture.
Yeah, so the Board of Aldermen adopted, at the beginning of the year, they adopted the plan, and then so put in motion the creation of the overlay district to implement some of the zoning changes. So the first one deals with density and dimensional requirements. Right now, the minimum lot size in an R6 district, which is about 80% of the area that we're looking at, is 6,000 square feet. Redevelopment of that area with 6,000 square foot lots is relatively difficult, if not impossible, as you can tell by the vacancies that are already there. So there's a recommended a smaller minimum lot size of 1,500 square feet. With that comes smaller setbacks than we would normally have. We have a minimum lot width, kind of an urban type look to the area. It does, at its, I guess, smallest, at a 1,500 square foot lot with these setbacks, it's a relatively small building footprint. I think it's 525 square feet.
About 25.
Okay, if I remember correctly. Which is small, but also gives people maximum flexibility to redevelop the area. And again, this is, we've seemed to have a lot of problems with explaining this over the past few years here, in that, or a few months, and that this is just a minimum. It's not a mandatory 1,500 square foot, right? People can do 1,600 square feet lots. They can do 1,700, 1,800. They can do as large as they want, but you can't go below 1,500. So you can't do a 1,400 square foot lot, but you can do a series of 1,500s attached units, and essentially This is pretty consistent with urban areas, attached units, lot sizes. I've seen them down to 1,200 square feet in certain areas. But again, maximum flexibility, and it really pushes the envelope for a detached structure, though not impossible, as we've been seeing lately as things are going smaller.
Yeah, that was, if I may, Jeff, just a quick question. It specifically indicated shall apply to single-family detached residential.
Yep.
Are there going to be any other special requirements for R6 zoning for like single-family detached or multifamily, if any of that's a requirement, or are we going to still allow these same?
All R6 has a pretty, so this is detached, right? So right now detached is 6,000. You can go to 1,500 with detached now.
Right, just, are there going to be any special rules for any other or just single-family?
Just single-family
Okay,
detached, because that's where the flexibility
Okay.
was
All right.
required. Yeah, good question. A lot of discussion surrounding mobile homes in the community itself. The commission has recommended, after a lot of conversations and debate within the commission itself over many months, that manufactured homes are only allowed right now in the R6 zoning designation and only north of Broad Street. There's an overlay south of Broad Street that prohibits them now. So the idea was to just prohibit them throughout. As you can tell, the look is much different south of Broad Street than it is north of Broad Street if you spent any time in the community. So again, that prohibition does not include modular homes, which are essentially these days look like mobile homes. They are just not, they are regulated by the North Carolina Building Code. They're not a HUD regulated. Mobile homes are regulated by HUD, and modular homes are regulated by the building code. So different designs, different construction standards.
Much heavier.
Excuse me?
Yeah, the modular is much heavier built.
Correct, yes, that's right. So they're built just like a regular stick-built brick home.
Stick built, just in
But as a
modules and brought in.
Yeah.
As a puzzle, yeah.
Yep, as a puzzle, correct. And they look just like mobile homes. But that, and that's fine. It's the quality of the construction that is important.
And you know what I like about them? They're tight
Yeah.
but quick.
That's right. Well, it'll take them a couple days to put them up.
Mm-hmm. But they tight built, they sturdy.
Mm-hmm. But again, very clearly, this doesn't mean that everyone that has a mobile home, manufactured home, in the community, is now has to, sell their home, tear it down, start over. They are allowed to be there. There's a section in our code under Article 8 that protects non-conforming uses and non-conforming situations that would still apply, in that people living in a manufactured home now will continue to live in it until such time that home is either falls into disrepair to a point that they can no longer fix it, or it's demolished or anything. Once it is removed from that lot, it can't be put back on. And that's pretty much what it means. It can stay there for as long as it can, and still be a viable, habitable space for people, which with manufactured homes, they definitely run out of that. That timeline definitely runs out at some point in time, as we've seen throughout the community, which is the reason for let's not bring in any new ones at this point in time. There's plenty of other options, and there's it's kind of a, I wouldn't say myth, but manufactured homes aren't much cheaper at all than modular homes. The average price of double wide is over $70,000 across the country. I'm not sure what they are here. So there's really not a big savings on the front end by going modular over manufactured. But the depreciation over time and the cost of maintenance really does hinder the growth and redevelopment of a community. So those are all the things the commission talks about. That's why the recommendation is in the overlay. And again, half of the area doesn't allow them now anyways. To accommodate these smaller lots here, right now, the code mandates that single-family detached residential construction is required 2 off-street parking spaces. In order to address the smaller lots, along with some other features or aspects of the community in that 50% of the community owns one or no cars now. So in order to accommodate smaller lots and not have to worry about accommodating a lot of off-street parking on the lot where there may not be room or may not be needed, there's a recommendation here in that overlay to change that minimum from 2 off-street parking spaces to 1. It's more tailored to the community specifically. It also allows a lot more flexibility in redeveloping individual sites. Doesn't mean people can't put 2 in. If they can find the space, you can fit 1 off street, and if you go up high, if you park underneath, you can get 2. It does allow some flexibility there and some creative designs for our architects to try to figure that out if they want to, but they're not required. Oops. So that's the sum of the larger code changes. That will be in the overlay. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on with the Redevelopment Commission. Just to give you all an update real quick, there's 3 subcommittees right now in the Redevelopment Commission that are working full force and full steam ahead, are making great progress. There's a health subcommittee, there's a housing subcommittee, and there is a neighborhood subcommittee. Neighborhood subcommittee is working with Public Works and some leaders in the community to organize neighborhood cleanups, and these aren't just litter pickups. This is Public Works coming in with their full heavy equipment load, trimming back trees, cutting down dead trees that are in the right-of-way, doing all sorts of things. So if you haven't been over the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Miller, Crawford areas, take a drive through, especially Crawford. Public Works went in there with 6 crews on each one of those streets, 6 men on each one of those streets. There was 1 woman there too. And just cleaned up the whole area, weed whacked, mowed, cut back, did all that stuff. So we'll be doing that in we've got about 12 pods in the entire community there. That we'll be organizing that every month or so. We have another one coming up in 3 weeks. The Housing Committee has an option on a house down the street here at 1023 Pollock. The White House next to Black's Tire, right across from the Triangle Park there, next to the BLG building. So we're in the due diligence period there, trying to figure out how much that's going to cost to fix, with the idea of that being a 2-family home to be rented out. And the Health Committee is putting on a kind of COVID in the community webinar, Facebook Live program. That's going to be Monday at 6 o'clock. It'll be on the city's webpage. You'll be able to see it then, start streaming then. There'll be health professionals from Craeberne Health Department, the director there, some infectious disease nurses, some pastors, Car IPOC from the Education Board will be there to talk about schools. So there's just a lot of information sharing about what's going on in the community, how to protect it yourself, how to how to educate yourself on the disease and the spread of it, how to stop it, how to be safe, and understand what the school is doing. And there'll be questions and answers as part of that also. So all those things are moving forward. The commission is very active and doing great things, and this is just one part of it. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that the community is getting involved, working to improve the redevelopment zone, working on the beautification and making the place neater. And it's very good to hear that these committees are very active right now. They're receiving neighborhood participation. And speaking for myself, I'm very happy, and I'm sure that the rest of the members of the board here, as well as the people involved in development services, are also glad to hear the good news in that area. Thank you. Is there any discussion on members of this board about the proposed overlay district? And remember, this is going to be a recommendation to the Board of Aldermen. Either we should be supporting it or acting against it. Is there any discussion among the members of the board on this item? At this point, I would entertain a motion for approval of the adoption of the redevelopment division for the city of New Bern, adoption of Article 24B, Section 15487, Greater 5-Point Redevelopment Overlay District for the city of New Bern Board of Aldermen. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion, is it seconded?
Second.
We have a motion, is seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well, I'd like to note that the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
At this point, we're at board member comments. Does anybody have any interest at all? Jeff, I have a question. Are we seeing, how are the new applications for building permits and whatnot with the COVID virus? Are they recovering at all?
Yeah, we've been very steady. We've seen no dip.
Very good, very good. Any other questions? Any other
And
comments?
a lot more multifamily coming. A lot.
Well, we can use the housing. I think that's good news.
Yeah.
Having heard no more discussion, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion. Is it seconded?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed.